Is everybody ready? Yes, sir. Okay, all right. Good afternoon. My name is Attorney Reginald McDaniel, Reginald McDaniel, and I practice law in the city of Birmingham. We're here today to talk about the tragic shooting death of young Tristan Clark, who was just 24 years of age when he was gunned down by Tuscaloosa police on December 20th, 2023, just a little over a week ago. Now, first of all, I want to introduce some people to you. I have my legal team here today, which consists of Attorney Rodney Davis from Birmingham and Attorney Wendolyn Gavan, also of Birmingham. We also have representatives from some organizations, in particular Lisa Young, president of the local NAACP, who's been a tremendous help to us during this process. And also, I believe she's going to speak on behalf of the SCLC as well. We want to acknowledge and thank Bishop Evans for allowing us to use his facility today. And there's a reason we chose to come here to have this news conference about the shooting death of Tristan Clark. Now, we also have members of Tristan's family here, and we're going to allow them to say what they need to say under these circumstances. And you can see them gathered back here, including his mother, Decoya, his sister Megan, and other relatives back here. So they'll come up and express some words as well. Now, we know in these kind of cases that happen often, too often, involving police excessive force and killing of young black men, black people, black women in this country. And in this particular case, the spotlight is on Tuscaloosa County, because this is one of a couple incidents that happened last week. There's another incident where a young man named Mike Epps Jr. was also brutalized at the hands of local police. Now, Tristan Clark was a young man who was in the process of turning his life around. We know there have been media reports focusing on the negative or things in his past. But I present to you that what happened on December 20th, a little over a week ago, when he was killed by police, has nothing to do with anything that happened in Tristan's past. When the car he was riding in was stopped, he was not committing any type of criminal offense, and nothing will justify what happened to Tristan on December 20th of 2023. Now, this location here, this church, Greater Faith Church, is where Christian was coming weeks leading up into his death. This was his new home He turned his life around, gave his life to God, participated in an altar call where this church accepted him as one of their own. And this was just a couple of weeks before he was gunned down. So it's appropriate for us to put him in the proper light, to show what kind of man he was and was trying to become before his life was taken unjustifiably. Now, Tristan was also a father of 3 kids, 3 young kids, I think 3, 4, and 3 months old, or 4 months old. Now, these young children now have to live their life without the benefit of their father. They may be too young to realize everything that's going on now, but as they grow older, they will have questions about who their daddy was. And fortunately, the mothers of his children and Tristan's mother, Jacoa, can say to them, Tristan was a guy who was overcoming past troubles. He was a young man who was getting his life right with God. And he was headed in a totally new direction with his life when it was taken away by bullets from a gun of a police officer unjustifiably. Now, there are a lot of circumstances surrounding, a lot of information has come out about what happened during this particular police stop that happened on 37th Street near Hargrove, near Bowers Park in the early afternoon on December 20th. My legal team, we have been here several times, talked to a lot of people, and we've been able to attain information that tells a totally different story than what the Tuscaloosa County Police are saying, Sheriff's Office, the statements they put out are not what people are telling us, even some that were there, that witnessed what happened. So the narrative has to be, why? I mean, too often in these cases, there's always questions directed at the victim. Well, he had a gun on him. He shouldn't have been carrying a gun. He didn't comply with police officers. There may have been a scuffle. But based on information we have obtained in our investigation, none of that was true. Now, the better question for you as media and this community, Tuscaloosa community, and the country, is why? Why does this keep happening to young black men and black people in general? You know, stop asking questions that justify these killings and ask yourself, why does this keep happening? You know, our information, based on what we've been told, tells a different story, and that story is that young Tristan was complying. He may have been targeted by this particular deputy from prior run-ins or who may have known him. This is information we're hearing, we're gathering, but we want to make it clear that the witnesses we've talked to have confirmed that Tristan was not resisting. He did not get into a scuffle with the deputy. He did not reach for his weapon, and he was not given a chance to even barely give his name, if that, before those fatal shots entered his body from the gun of that deputy. We know that Tristan was a passenger in the backseat of a car along with 2 other individuals. Now, you may have seen statements from those individuals which speak for themselves, but they are the only 2 witnesses outside of the police department that we know has a tendency not to tell the truth in these kind of police killings. They want to change the facts, lie about what happened to justify their behavior. But my legal team, Attorney Gavan, Attorney Davis, we are committed to finding the truth and ending this type of unjustifiable actions to injure and kill young black men without cause. Tristan, if I have anything to do with it, will be the last one in Tuscaloosa County to suffer from this type of fate. There's no justification for it. Don't ask why, but ask why this keeps happening. So, with that said, I want to assure you that we're going to continue to investigate, to talk to people, and get to the bottom of this, and get to the truth, so Tristan's soul can rest in peace. His family can get some justification, some relief. Nothing would ever bring Tristan back. Nothing would ever make this family, this mother, and these children whole again. There's a void that can't be filled because Tristan is no longer here. But the good thing about Tristan is he did turn his life over to the Lord and was actively going to church and encouraging his family to go to church when this untimely killing occurred just over a week ago. Now, we've also sent notices of representation, preservation of evidence, letters to county and city officials. And we publicly call on the county sheriff, the county district attorney, the county commission, the chief of the county commission, along with the mayor of the city, and also along with the chief of police of the city, to be transparent, to bring information forward, to make sure no evidence is disturbed or tampered with while this investigation continues. We understand they have a process to go through, and supposedly the Tuscaloosa County Special Violent Crimes Unit is investigating this murder. Well, they got 2 witnesses, so they talked to those 2 witnesses and hear the story they're telling, the story that one of them even signed an affidavit to. This story did not happen the way they have put it out to the world as to what happened to Tristan. So we want the truth to come out. We want justice for Tristan, and we will not stop, we will not rest until we get justice and accountability for whoever killed this young man unjustifiably. And with that said, I will bring Attorney Gavan to the podium.
Thank you, Attorney McDaniels. Wandalyn Gavan, Juandalynn, last name Givan, attorney at law. Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
We are once again here in this country, a country known for its freedoms, a country known for its rights to peacefully protest, a country known for its rights to bear arms. But yet we stand here today to say the name of another black man, 24 years of age, that has been brutally killed and gunned down at the hands of law enforcement here in the state of Alabama. Tristan Clark now joins the ranks of those such as George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Alton Parker, Philando Castillo, Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Sandra Bland, and how could we dare forget Breonna Taylor? On last week, this young man's life was taken. And we are here today, as stated, to seek justice. Justice for Tristan Clark. We are here to seek justice for a young man who was shot over 4 times by an officer whose name has yet to been called to the public. Names of an officer whose name is yet to be released to the media, to the press. Yet we're here again seeking justice for a young man who was killed by this officer who now remains nameless, and that name has not even been released to his family, his grieving family. Sits behind me is a mother, a grieving mother, a sister, a grandmother. As stated, this was a young man who was a father of 3 young children who will now have to grow up fatherless. We are demanding all records be turned over, as Attorney McDaniel stated. The question of whether or not there was body cam. If there was not body cam, the question needs to be asked, why? Why are some officers or some divisions held to a standard that others are not held to? We are requesting all preservation, as stated, of evidence. But we're seeking justice. We refuse to be the family of Jawan Dallas in Mobile, or Stephen Perkins in Decatur, just a stone's throw away from here. We want justice in the name of this young man. We want to know why he was targeted. And we're going to begin to use these words. We want to know if there was a relationship between he and the officer involved. We want to know why he was shot in the back seat of a vehicle over 4 times. Those are the questions that the media needs to have asked and answered by the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Department, as well as the Tuscaloosa County Police Department. We're standing here today for a purpose that we should not be here for. But I flip that. We are standing here for the right purpose today, because we're going to be standing here as long as it takes to seek justice in the name of Tristan Clark, to seek justice for his children, to seek justice for his mother, to seek justice for his sister, and to seek justice for his grandparents. We are here to stand before you today to say that Black lives matter. And we are a believer that all lives matter. But in this instance, this was another Black man, somebody's child that was killed. Again, I'm tired and sick and tired of having to say their names. To say another Black man's name here in this country because they have been brutally gunned down or beaten, or their feet pressed upon their necks, or choked, or for whatever circumstances that arose that they were killed. Today we're here to say Tristan Clark's name and to continue to say it until justice rings out and is served in this matter, and that these law enforcement officers are held accountable here in Tuscaloosa County. Thank you.
And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but another key fact that we've uncovered is that Tristan's hands were up and raised the whole time of this encounter. He didn't have time to react before the bullets were shot. His hands were up. And we've seen this similar hands being up by Black men who have been killed by police all over the country. Now Tristan is one of those who had his hands up when he was killed. So don't believe the stories that they're telling you about what happened. The people who saw what happened have told us that Tristan's hands were up. Now, Ms. Young from the NAACP.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Young, and I serve as the current president of the Tuscaloosa County branch NAACP. I am also speaking on behalf of the local Southern Christian Leadership Conference in the absence of their president, Reverend Williams. We gather here today as united members of our community, concerned citizens, and advocates for justice to address a critical issue that demands our immediate attention. On Wednesday, December the 20th, 2023, our community was shaken by the tragic incident involving the possible unjustified shooting and killing of Mr. Tristan Clark by a Tuscaloosa Police Department narcotics officer. This devastating event has underscored the pressing need for increased accountability and transparency within our law enforcement agencies. Today, on behalf of the Tuscaloosa County Branch NAACP and SCLC, we adamantly demand the implementation of body camera and dash cameras for all members of law enforcement employed by the City of Tuscaloosa and the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff Department. This demand is not a mere suggestion. It's an essential step towards fostering trust, ensuring accountability, and preventing future tragedies. Body cameras and dash cameras serve as a critical tool to document interactions between law enforcement officers and the community they serve. They also provide an unbiased record of events, serving as a means of truth and transparency in situations where trust is paramount. The absence of such critical technologies jeopardizes the integrity of investigations and erodes the trust between law enforcement and our community. We cannot allow uncertainty and doubt to persist when it comes to matters of justice and accountability. The implementation of body cameras and dash cameras is not merely a reaction to this tragic incident. It is a proactive measure to prevent future occurrences. It's an investment in the safety and well-being of both citizens and law enforcement agents alike. We call upon the City of Tuscaloosa and the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff Department to prioritize the swift implementation of these measures. This is not a question of convenience. It is a matter of necessity. Our community deserves transparency, accountability, and assurance that incidences like the one involving Mr. Tristan Clark will be thoroughly and justly investigated. As we move forward, let us stand united in our pursuit for justice, fairness, and a community where trust between law enforcement and citizens is fortified through transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Will those family members who are going to speak come forward, please? Make sure you get your full name and spelling.
My name is Jakaya Dixon, Jakiyyyah, Dixon, Dixon. I am Tristan's girlfriend, and since I've known him, he has been the sweetest and lovable person ever. He has 3 kids that he would do anything for. He had his loving mama, his loving grandma, and they've been nothing but nice to me since I came around. We would go to church every Sunday. He'd get me up. He'll wake up his mama, help with the kids, and I just want to say that he was very respectful. He'll wake up and tell the whole house good morning. He was very respectful and sweet. And it's really distressing for me and his family to have to go through this and to know that he was killed by the police, the people that's supposed to help us and provide support when we need it. And it's really a hard time.
My name is Megan Clark, MEGANCLARK. I am Tristan's sister. I am the oldest out of 5. He's the oldest brother. But to him, he was my oldest brother. At least he thought. He's a gentle giant. He was always there to help me, protect me. Anytime I had to move, he's helping me move. Very strong, very sweet, loving, caring. As they mentioned, he left us 3 beautiful kids. I have a niece and 2 nephews. And just to know that they have to grow up without him is one of the hardest things that I have to deal with. All his kids look just like him, and just looking in their faces and having to see them and just see them smile and not understand what's going on, it hurts. To have to look at my mom and look at my family as another they have to go through that. He didn't deserve that. He was a really sweet boy, and he was really trying to turn his life around, and they didn't give him the chance. They took it from me, his kids, my mom, his family, and now we have to live without him, and that's just not fair. Last time I came home, it was my mom's birthday. He spent the whole weekend with us, and we went bowling, and he can't bowl. I'm the better bowler, and we was just competing, and last thing I remember him just, I'm gonna get this strike. And of course I beat him, and it's just the smile. I just remember his smile and the laugh and his deep dimples with his chocolate skin. He's just so beautiful. And I'll never get the chance to see that again. I'll never get to hug him again. I'll never get to wish him another happy birthday. He turns 25 in February. And I just don't get to have any more memories with him. But I had 24 great years with him, and I have so many memories of him, and I'm going to make sure his kids know who he is through me. I am Tristan. I am Tristan Clark. I am his sister, and he will be remembered from here on out, to the world, to his kids, to my mom, to everyone. Justice for Tristan Clark.
My name is Shamika Hall, S-H-A-M-E-K-A. Last name Hall, H-A-L-L. I am Tristan's family member. Tristan DeCedric Clark, our gentle giant is what we called him. To have known him was to love him, because he always, no matter the circumstances, greeted you with that beautiful smile. He always was respectful. It was always yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, because that's the way we as his village raised him to be. He always made sure that he let us know that he loved us, and we always made sure that let him know that we love him. Tristan and our last conversation was through FaceTime a few weeks before he was gunned down. He called me to ask me that I cook. To know Tristan loves to eat. And I told him, I did, but you're too late. He was like, man, I wanted some dressing and macaroni and cheese so bad. He always bragged about how good my cooking was. So I told him, next time I cook, I'm gonna call you. I said, but I moved. He didn't know that I moved, and I told him where I moved to. He said, oh, good, you're right around the corner. I'm back with my mom. I came back home to help her with the kids. He said, and guess what? I started going to church. I want to turn my life around. I want to get better to be out here for my kids. And I told him how proud I was of him. is to always keep God first. But he's no longer here to do that. We love Tristan. Tristan loved us, you know. God made him whole. His last weeks of his life, God made him whole again. And for that, I'm thankful, you know. But we as his family will definitely miss him. We miss him already.
Grace and peace to you all. I'm Shakira Poe, C-H-A-K-I-R-A, Poe, P-O-E. I stand here today to help with the entire family, the entire Tristan D. Clark family, on the awareness of Tristan's life, not just his death. You see, Tristan, my bonus nephew, this young man also represents not just his mom's child, but he represents that this could have been your child. This could have been your son. This could have been your daughter. We have let everyone paint the picture of Tristan D. Clark. And now we're going to paint the truth about him. His mom calls him her gentle giant. He was young at heart. I also agree. He was courageous. He was fearless. He was protective. He made mistakes. Who didn't at such a precious age? Yet he was kind. He was loved by his kids, his twins, Drea, Mason, and Caden. He was a father to them who was changing his ways, just like most of us, for he loved his families just that much. To the youth, one thing I tell you, to Tuscaloosa, to our community, I tell you, those who love Tristan, he got a chance. He got a chance to get close with God and his family. Please get close with God and let his life and his triumphs and his troubles remind you that it's never too late to get close to God, because Tristan, our beloved, he did. He got close. We love you, Tristan. Infinity, your life will not be in vain. Justice for Tristan D. Clark.
I'm Takethia Patton, T-E-K-E-T-H-I-A, Patton, P-A-T-T-O-N. I'm Tristan's oldest sister on his dad's side. There's 7 of us. That was my first baby. My first baby. I just want to know why. My arguing buddy. We argued a few months ago. And I didn't get a chance to apologize to him. He didn't apologize to me. But every day that I talked to him before that, he always say, "I love you, Sue." And he knew I loved him too. We just want justice.
Good afternoon. My name is Floretta Rayford, F-L-O-R-E-T-T-A, R-A-Y-F-O-R-D, and I'm a longtime friend of the family. I have known Tristan his entire life. He was a typical boy growing up. Tristan's very playful and had a sweet spirit. He was friendly and outgoing and loved his mom, grandmom, and siblings. Tristan was a typical young adult. He had started to attend church and was trying to be a better person for his children. Tristan wasn't a perfect child. Neither of us are. But he always answered me as yes ma'am, no ma'am, and was very respectable. On December 20th, hearing Tristan had been killed, I was in denial, thinking, it can't be Tristan. I immediately called his grandmother, my best friend of 50 plus years, and all I could hear was a blood-curdling scream. I couldn't imagine the pain she was feeling. My heart goes out to the Clark family, Tristan, his mom, grandmother, and his children. I don't know what happened on December 20th. What I do know is a mother lost her son, a grandmother lost her grandson, sister lost her brother, and the kids lost their father. God be with the Clark family. And on behalf of the Clark family, they have set up a GoFundMe in the name of Justin for Tristan Clark. And if you can find it upon your heart to help this family bury Tristan, it will be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
My name is Jacoya Clark. I'm Tristan's mother. That was my oldest son. My miracle baby. I would have never imagined on December the 20th to get the phone call that I received about my son, my gentle giant. So gentle, so loving and caring, and like they stated, a protector. He loved his family, he loved his children. I want justice for my son. I want justice for me, my family, and his children. Because what happened to him, he did not deserve. No one child deserved what happened to Tristan D. Cedric Clark. That could have been any one of our children. That could have been anybody. I never thought in a million years that I would be here today speaking upon police brutality. These are stories that I read about. I sit down and talk to my children about. In a million years, I would never imagine standing here. But I stand here today asking everybody, stand up and help me fight for justice for my son.
We're going to close out with if there are any questions, we'll take a few questions. But this family is suffering, and we don't want to prolong that any longer than we have to. So are there any questions at this time?
Do we know if there were anybody cameras of the officer?
Well, that's the question that... Correct. Yeah. Well, the Tuscaloosa County Special Violent Crimes Unit is investigating the case. that occurred with the Tuscaloosa Police Department narcotics unit. And we're hearing conflicting stories. We have requested a meeting with these officials to get those answers. And whether or not there was body cam, we have witnesses. So you would think if there was body cam, they would be forthcoming. We're preparing a petition under Alabama legislation rules to demand body cam footage, myself along with Attorney Gavan. So that's something we're seeking through the proper channels, and we're demanding from those investigating this particular case.
You spoke about conflicting stories. What have you heard from witnesses that perhaps differentiates from what the Sheriff's Office and police have released in statements?
Well, the witnesses said Tristan never reached for his gun, never made a move toward the officer who came to Tristan's door, his window, with a gun pointed at Tristan's head. There was no time to react. There was no scuffle. There was no officer trying to take the gun from Tristan. Reports I read, based on news media, are just totally wrong from the people who actually were there and saw what happened. So that's the discrepancy. Somebody's not telling the truth, and we know the police are known to cover up and lie about these situations. So our witnesses say his hands were up. He was complying. He never had a chance to do anything before those 4 or 5 or 6 shots were fired into his body.
You guys talk a lot about the information that you uncovered from other witnesses. The police say that Tristan had a gun and was trying to pull it and did not listen to the instructions. What did your witness say? Can you tell us?
Sure. Again, the witnesses say he never pulled a gun, never made a move that was threatening, didn't have time to comply because this officer started firing his weapon while Tristan's hands were up in the air.
Who were the witnesses? Were it people in the car, people in the car? Who were they exactly?
Well, the witnesses were the 2 individuals in the car with Tristan.
Did Tristan in fact have a gun?
Well, according to information, he may have had a gun in his waistband, but he never made a move with it. Now, the issue is whether he was posing a threat, not whether he had a gun. And he was not posing a threat, never touched his gun. And there was also, based on what we're hearing, another gun in the car in the front seat between 2 other individuals. So that's not like the gun issue cloud what really happened, because Tristan never reached for his gun, didn't have the opportunity to before those shots were fired, killing him.
You mentioned the possibility that the officer and Tristan might have known each other. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Well, based on information we've talked to several people, Tristan did spend some time in the county, and some of these officers who worked in the county at the time are now on the narcotics force. So there's potential for some tie-in because of some of the issues that may have happened while he was in the county with some of these officers who now may be narcotics officers. So those are questions that we have for the DA, the county sheriff, and those officials to make sure they are aware and that they don't miss any piece of evidence in determining what happened to Tristan.
But just so I'm clear, that possibility came from the witnesses that they mentioned that they might have known each other?
Well, it came from people we talked to in our investigation.
Can you kind of clear up in prior reporting there was talks about active warrants? Is that the case?
At the time Tristan was arrested, he did not have an active warrant. That was another misinformation that was put out. And there was another incident that happened a month or so before. Those warrants had been taken care of. He had bonded out. So that was another mistruth misinformation put out by the police departments or law enforcement.
And can you touch on what justice would look like for the family and y'all as y'all work to obtain it?
Thank you. If you would just allow me just to expound upon one thing, though, because several questions have been hurled as it relates to whether he had a gun or whether he didn't. Whatever went on the 20th, it did not warrant him being shot over 4 times. It's our understanding that he was shot possibly 5 times. Whatever went on, he was a backseat passenger in this vehicle. So whatever the rumors are that are out there, wherever they're coming from, we're going to dispel those rumors now. Justice for us is this. If there was an officer involved shooting, if excessive force was used, we want those officers immediately held accountable under the law. We want them charged for the murder, because this is murder. Murder is the case of Tristan Clark. We want them immediately terminated from their position so they cannot do this again. It should not be where you are riding, in this case, riding while black. Tristan Clark was riding in a vehicle while black and killed by one police officer with another officer there in witness thereof. If he did have a gun, the question becomes, was it on his person when they removed him from the vehicle? It's our understanding that it was. So how could he have been reaching for it and putting any officer in a position of being in harm's way? Again, our understanding is that his hands were up. No differently from other black men that we've seen throughout this country. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. So there's no justification, but we want these police officers held accountable. Just as they would hold any other individual accountable, me or you, if we were in a situation similar to this and we used excessive force or we fired unnecessary bullets into the heart, body, or anywhere on the person of another, we would all right now have been processed in the county jail. We would be awaiting prosecution, and that is what we want. As stated, we have a young man who left 3 children. This is the church where he was trying to change his life. Very unfortunate.
What if there's nobody camera?
Well, the question becomes, as I stated in my comments, why? But we have witness accounts. And these are 2 credible witnesses. 2 credible men that were in that vehicle who have no reason or need to lie as to what happened.
So there were no independent witnesses outside the vehicle who can, also back up the statements with the other 2 people in the vehicle?
I'm not sure. We have not delved that far, but I know as far as the witnesses account, surely the 2 witnesses that were in that vehicle would have more knowledge, because they would be there at the time that the stop ensued. They would know the conversations that were had when this vehicle was stopped, the officer involvement and engagement. The question becomes, how did this officer get to Tristan? And I simply state he was targeting Tristan. And we stand firmly by that position.
And I may have mentioned this earlier, but another discrepancy, if you recall, when the story first broke, the initial story was it was a routine traffic stop. And then a couple of days later, it changed to a narcotics investigation. We've also obtained information that these officers saw the vehicle. It's not that they followed them and then stopped them. They were going in a different direction. And when they saw the car with Tristan in it, they did a quick, abrupt U-turn, almost running another young lady off the road, and pulled her behind them and then encountered them. So there are a lot of discrepancies, but we stand by the fact that the witnesses who were there on the scene, who were in the car, have told the story, and they said publicly, so this is in the public domain, that the story that the police department's law enforcement, the county, is telling is not what happened. And you ask, what would justice look like? Justice will look like the investigators, the district attorney, the county, the city, taking accountability, doing a thorough criminal investigation into these officers, and charging them with the appropriate crime, whether it's murder or whatever, and forcing them to no longer be able to represent the shield under the false pretense that they're here to protect and serve. Justice will look like the family of Tristan Clark, his family, his children being fairly compensated for the loss that they can't recover, that they'll never see their son again. He'll never be able to play with his children, hug his mother, hug his sisters, interact with them. So there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot that justice will have to look like in order to make this right. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you guys again for coming. We appreciate your support. And if you have any questions later, you can contact myself, Reginald McDaniel. My office number is 205-433-6130. And
as we close out again, thank you all for coming. Attorney McDaniels and I are of the position that we are going to stand firmly by this family. And I just want you to also, as you're deliberating your process of review, the question becomes, why was Tristan stopped why was that vehicle stopped in the beginning? And that's what we want to know. What was the probable cause? But as we close out, I simply say, I start this closing as I started it, my comments, and that is simply to say Tristan Clark's name. Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
Say his name.
Tristan Clark.
Thank you.